Hello and welcome to the Curiosity and Consciousness podcast. The intention of this podcast is to open your mind, get curious about yourself and connect to the power you hold within. I am your host, Karen Maloney, an inside-out coach, helping you to believe in yourself and manifest your desires. Check out the podcast, available on all platforms, and go to my website, www.karenmaloney.com for all info. Welcome everybody, happy Thursday and thanks for tuning in for another episode. It's me, Karen Maloney, and I have another brilliant, amazing guest for you today and wonderful conversation for you to maybe help you remember some deeper truths about yourself. So joining me today is Marianne McGuire, and Marianne is the creator of Let Go and Know, how to let go of struggle and know who you really are. She guides women to experience the sweet relief of finally living from who they really are, to discover their purpose and unlock their power and expression, so that they can live the creative, connected and fulfilled life they were born to live, without always seeking, trying to fix themselves, overgiving or being in anxiety or doubt. Marianne has a gift for seeing beyond a person's conditioning or personality to the beautiful truth of who they really are. Her work comes from a direct experience of being awareness. She had this profound spiritual experience when she was 6 years of age, when she received certain fundamental universal truths about reality and who we really are. And this pure information is facilitating her mission to nudge you into remembrance of the magnificence of who you really are, so that you can stand in your power and express your truth and live from freedom, ease, peace and joy. I loved connecting with Marianne for this conversation and hearing her experience, her spiritual experience aged 6 that was so profound for her, where she really felt the oneness and the awareness of, or spirit, the essence of the truth of us all. And you know, it's a very difficult thing to put into words, but I loved hearing Marianne try to explain it. But she also shared how she contracted. She didn't allow herself to express her true self. And we can all contract in many different ways. And it's about coming back to this expanded state and way of living, and living from this state of joy and peace and ease that is the truth of all of us. She shares how the truth of who we are is covered by layers of conditioning, and how we can release this frozen energy within ourselves in order to come back to this wholeness and lovingly acknowledge what's arising within us and find security in the present moment. She also spoke about trauma and how there are gifts in trauma, but it's not because the trauma is a gift. It's not giving the power to the trauma, but again, it's the choice that we have. We are the powerful ones if we decide to find the gifts within the trauma and our own life experiences. And she referred to them as manure, and they can be manure for us if we choose to be in our power and do that work. So yeah, lots in this conversation, really just about you're not your conditioning, you are not your life experiences, you are so much more. There is another way to live, and this invitation to free yourself of what's held within, to come back to this expanded way of living. So a beautiful conversation, and you can find more on Marianne's work on her website, www.letgoandknow.com, or her email is info@letgoandknow.com. And before we jump into the conversation, just to mention that I have some spots available for working with people one-to-one, whether on coaching or silent counselling. And silent counselling is a rapid release energy therapy that works on the body's meridians, and it is excellent for helping to release what is frozen within us, the stagnant energy, these old traumas and wounds. It's very simple and effective, and the more that I do it on myself and work with others in it, just the power of it is mind-blowing, because there is this mind-body connection, and when we free ourselves, there are simple ways to do it. So if anyone wants to learn more or experience it for themselves, please reach out, send me an email, support at KarenMaloney.com, support at KarenMaloney.com, or go to my website, KarenMaloney.com, and you can see more information on it there, both in my shop and the Work With Me section. And other than that, enjoy this conversation. And as always, I will have everything linked as well to Marianne's work from my website, KarenMaloney.com, and go to the podcast section. Enjoy. Hello, everybody. Welcome and thanks for tuning in for another episode. And this week I have Marianne McGuire joining me, another fellow Irish, and it's lovely to hear the accent. So welcome, first of all, Marianne, and thanks for joining today.
Thank you so much for having me, Karen. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you and your listeners. Thank you.
Yeah, looking forward to delving in today. And you are the founder of Let Go and Know. And I'm sure there are topics and areas that we'll delve into. But maybe if you share some of your journey, first of all, and what brought you to what you're doing today.
I'd love to, Karen. Yeah, if I share a bit of my story, I think it'll give the listeners a bit more of a feel for who I am. So I may as well just jump right into it. I never actually forgot where I came from before I came into the physical. So when I was a child of about 6 years of age, I had a profound spiritual experience as well as that. So I was shown certain fundamental universal truths. And the best way I can describe it is that I was shown, a fraction of the truth behind this reality about how life works and the nature of time, the nature of reality, and even polarity. And I was aware that there existed something so far beyond this physical reality, so inexplicably beautiful, like even beyond our idea of heaven, and that it's all around us and it's within us. And I knew that this physical reality where we live our everyday lives was only the tiniest part of what is true. And I experienced being pure awareness, and it was more real than I can describe. So what we call oneness wasn't a concept for me. It was a very real foundation for my life. Now, I wouldn't have been able to articulate that at that age. It was only when I grew up that I was able to actually clothe this with words.
Yeah,
but
and even still, it's limited.
It's limited. Stop. It's just so frustrating. I'll totally admit to you, trying to put this into words,
Yeah, impossible.
But in contrast to this gorgeous, expansive, beautiful experience of being connected to oneness and beauty, which, by the way, we all are, it's not just me, obviously, I went through my childhood feeling contracted much of the time. And I wasn't received by my family, whom I love dearly. I had a dominant father. There was a lot of fear growing up. I wasn't allowed to express myself freely. And due to how I was conditioned, I suspended my power to play the game, so to speak. So then creativity also played a huge part of my life. And at 18, my spiritual path in the world opened up. And so did my creative energy. And I became a painter, and I worked in fine art auctioneering, and I managed a fine art gallery at 19, and I studied history of art. And the funny thing is, when I say that to you now, I'm like, oh my God, it sounds so organized. But to be totally honest with you, Karen, I felt so lost. I felt so lost. I was just searching. Am I on my path? What's my path? Like almost obsessively. So when I was 18, actually, same time, I longed to feel a more immediate connection with spirit, because I knew that problems didn't exist there. So I spent the following 20 years searching for the simplest and most practical way to reconnect with my divine source, my true self. And one day I felt as if something important was building within me. And so I stopped and asked my guides the following question. Out of everything I have been through, and out of everything I've studied and discovered and experimented with, after 2 decades of searching for the answer, what is the most important thing we can do to find what we're looking for? And I received the answer from the sea of awareness, and the information pertaining to it unfurled in my being. And it was let go of struggle and know who you really
Mm.
are. And
Wow.
the specific way that I was to help people using my childhood spiritual experience was born. And I was shown steps that took me from living in a contracted way much of the time, a lot of fear, to living in an expanded state of joy and peace and purpose, being able to deal instantly with any challenges that I was experiencing. And I reclaimed my birthright of power and expression, and
Love
my
it.
life transformed, and I
Wow.
felt what it was like to be free. And
Mm.
when I practiced the information that I was given, I fully experienced in my body again that I am awareness. And it was as if I had come out of the fog of the mind and
Mm.
stepped into the clarity of the heart. And I stepped out of the box that I had been put in and into my true power. And I found what I've been searching for. And this is my desire for you. This is my
Yeah.
desire for everybody listening.
Amazing.
It is amazing. And now it's so fascinating the way it happened. I activate mainly women, because women are just interested in this work. So it's mainly women to
Hmm.
experience that relief of finally living from who they really are and discover their purpose so that they can live that beautiful life they were born to live, without always overgiving or being in anxiety or
Hmm.
doubt. So I'm a vision holder really for them. And particularly women who I find they come to me, it's so interesting, who also themselves have experienced narcissism maybe, or estranged from family of origin, very creative, very loving, very kind, but
Mm.
not met, feel like they don't fit in. And so I love to provide a trusted, safe space to, share their vision.
Mm. Wow. Love it. Thank you for sharing all that. And, different parts I can resonate. But it was so funny. Even this morning, I just saw a short video from Dolores Cannon, and she was talking about
Oh, yeah.
how, this earth is our school, and we come here and we forget the truth of who we are. And it's that journey of remembrance again, to connect to that expansiveness, that truth, that oneness, that divinity, that
Mm.
essence that is us, and remember that and live that in this human experience. So, and that's been my journey, but I definitely didn't remember. Like you said, you never forgot, whereas
Mm-hmm.
I forgot, but I can say I didn't, because I always knew, I was always curious. I always felt there was something calling me. But like that, I had so much inner conflict and felt really constricted as well. So many different bits I could relate to in that. But again, different journeys, different paths, but similarities as well.
Mm.
So much of what you shared there as well. And even the idea of letting go is so huge for people. And I know for me, it was a massive thing, because I had built this story that if I can control everything, as in think everything through from my mind and
Oh,
think it
God.
through a million times
Oh,
over,
God.
if I can control everything, I'm safe. All is well. All is
Yeah.
good. I'm in control. So I know how scary it can seem to let go of control. So how do you
Mm-hmm.
help people as well to move through that process and really build faith and trust in the unknown, or what is unknown maybe at the moment?
I think it's imperative that people really do realize that intuition is hugely important. And I think people think it's a bit of a fairy tale sometimes. No, I'm actually saying you can live from who you really are and not from the conditioning. So it's almost like a distortion. We've got the distortion and we've got truth. We've got harmony and dissonance. So I'm into sound healing in a big way. I use frequency all the time, like to heal my body for everything. So those terms really, well, they resonate. So you can create space so that you can meet yourself, so that you can feel more of the fullness of who you really are. And the way to do this is to just gently and lovingly acknowledge that, yes, you've been conditioned, you've been through trauma from the age of, birth to 7, and in the past as well. But we come here without filters and we absorb everything from teachers and parents and society. And without filters. So we believe it all because we're small and we need to survive. But this becomes our truth. And then we go through traumas and that energy becomes frozen. So just when we lovingly acknowledge, oh, okay, what's arising for me now? I'm afraid, I could be sad, I could be angry. It's normally some version of those three emotions. And instead of stuffing them down or being afraid of them or going to the fridge or reaching for, a bottle of Chardonnay or something, really giving yourself this enormous gift of stopping, maybe putting your hand on your heart and acknowledging what is arising for you and expressing it. Obviously, do it where it's safe to do that. Because it's very delicate, especially in the beginning. It's very unfamiliar because, Karen, we're not raised.
Yeah.
We're not raised to do this, to give ourselves that time to acknowledge what's arising. It's like, I was literally told as a child, anytime I just even expressed an opinion, not even being cheeky, get back into your little box all the time.
Yeah.
And so we're not raised this way. It's extremely important that you give yourself the gift of going somewhere private where you feel safe, preferably outside Mother Nature. So incredibly healing. And grounding yourself, hopefully. I don't mean to complicate this, but if you can, like, take off your shoes, ground yourself, touch a living tree. I've just got a thing about grounding. It's because we're electromagnetic beings as well as biological and spiritual. But anyway, just look, hand on your heart and acknowledging what's coming up for you. If you need to have a good cry. And it's amazing because all of a sudden, when you allow this flow, what's happening is you're releasing this frozen energy. So you could have been all your life living from maybe the reaction you had as a 6-year-old. Something froze, maybe a trauma, big or small, happened to you, and the energy froze in your system, in your biofield. And so you can react, triggers, and get triggered and react from the attitude of a 6-year-old. But when you allow this energy up and realize, look, it's okay. I'm bigger than any problem I could ever have. It's okay. Be so loving to that part of you that's feeling that way. Then you can allow it up and out, have a good cry, do whatever you need to do. And all of a sudden, you take a few deep breaths and you realize, wow, I've just created space here. I've just created space and I can feel more of who I really am. And that's what's so exciting, because I tell you, Karen, the way it is now for me, I wrote a book about this, From Longing to Belonging, because it just was so significant. It was such a simple and significant practice. The practice came to me, downloaded the From Longing to Belonging practice, that I put in there. It's the Becoming Aware Listening practice. And it's changed my life so much that I thought I have to share this. And the whole beginning of the book is me explaining why it works for your beloved mind that loves to know why things work. Because God knows it wants to hold on with a white knuckle grip so that it can feel safe. So what the old beginning of the book, and a huge big chunk of it, is just explaining everything so that part of you that wants to be in control can go, oh my God, it's safe. I can relax. I can actually surrender. I mean, I'm telling you, if anybody's listened to that word, it's one of the most powerful, beautiful, brave things you can do. And I don't mean in any way to give up. I mean surrender, that the power that you've given your ego, and, fall into the arms of love and know that you're always caught, and to allow yourself to be embraced by the security of the present moment. And you meet yourself there. You meet yourself in the present moment. You realize there is no separation. There is no separation. And it gets deeper and deeper and deeper and more delicious, and you realize, the way people go on about alignment, and you'll hear spiritual people going on about, oh, you got to align. I understand that. Fundamentally, the way I see it and feel it is that you go beyond alignment. You go beyond that kind of duality, because you are this. It's like this fundamental energy of information, and it's beautiful, it's divine, but fundamentally, from a physics point of view, it's a field of information. But you are that. You are one with that. You don't even align with it. Like, you are that. So you start living from that. And then that's where your intuitive guidance springs from. That's where, by the way, creativity springs from. All your fabulous creative ideas to set up businesses, to, deal with your children in the most supportive, wonderful way. All of that comes from there, comes from here, I should say. There is no there. There is no separation. So that's how you communicate with intuitive guidance. And again, even this language is tricky because you're not even communicating with it, because that implies separation. Oh, I'm communicating with it, like I'm the lower self, that's the higher self. We just need all these concepts so that we can understand it in this dimension. But in truth, it's all one. It's all one. It's just, I mean, apart from fascinating, oh my God, it's so expansive, it's so beautiful, and it's you. Everyone listening to this, that's you. Yeah. You are totally magnificent, magnificent. So don't ever think, oh, no, I'm broken. You are not broken. You do not need to be fixed.
Yeah, so true. And yeah, again, that was me. I lived from that completely frozen place. And because I felt so frozen, I had no emotional resilience to even feel. And if there was anything kind of, or even having a conversation, I didn't know how to be around awkward emotions or people expressing a hurt or something. I would just get defensive and just be like, oh my God, because there was all this just energy frozen in my body. And again, even as you were speaking there, I placed my hand on my heart. And now, because again, it's like a practice when we build consistency with any practice, the minute I touch my heart center now, it's like, oh yes, all this madness and stories and worrying in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, because when I disconnect from my body is when I go into that fear and spinning and feeling like everything is so scary. Whereas when I connect right now to the present moment again, it's like, oh, actually everything is okay. Like, it's just my thoughts yet again. And
exactly.
And that's, again, like that video I watched this morning, it's that part of our journey in remembering the bigger truth of us. And, again, some people say, like, we're not a human having a spiritual experience. The truth of we are a spirit. We are the whole universe having a human experience. So when people begin to tap into that as well, what then is the power that's available? Or maybe to go back to it, first of all, you mentioned you saw as well and experienced kind of the truth of reality, of this reality. So what for you is the truth of this reality, and how fixed or malleable is it?
For a start, from the human perspective, we can't 100% know everything, but the heart of this is that who you really are has been covered over by layers of conditioning and patterns and behaviors. But these are not who you are. There's that ever-present, perfect state of beingness within you. And you can tap into this presence and be one with, health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. When I say wealth, I mean all kinds of wealth. Beauty going out. I've got a begonia out there that I got, and it shines. It's this orangey red color. And I feel like, just even in the last week since I got it, it's such a treat. Just this, it lights me up so much. To me, that's wealth. Mm-hmm. Like acknowledging the beauty of nature, and of course financial as well. So it's all waiting for you to be it. You can live from here. So what came to me was fundamentally, love is all there is. So therefore, I'm safe fundamentally. You are safe. We are fundamentally safe because, well, we're never born and we never die. Only the physical body dies. So you are infinite. You are eternal. You're not just this little self kind of going, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? How am I going to pay the bills? Whatever. When you tune into the fundamental truth that you're infinite and eternal and love is all there is, oh my God, all of a sudden you can expand and let go, and you feel this beautiful safety within you. And also what I knew back with that experience was that love is in the space of everything. It's the glue that holds everything together. So there was this, I was imbued with this comfort again that all is well. All is well, even though it doesn't look like it. All is well. And also beauty. Beauty surrounds everything. And we would be awestruck if we could comprehend the truth of that. So that's where it comes into the expression of your soul rather than the distortions from your past conditioning. Living from this field of information, this divine love, seeing the gifts in your trauma and letting them go so that they can kind of, what's the word? I got that gardening analogy is coming to me right now, like fertilizer. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. The way manure
Yeah.
Actually, now I see what that's about. The gift and the trauma actually nourishing your purpose now. And then I also knew that physical time, this linear time doesn't exist. So the past and the future aren't actually real. There's only now. So everything happens in the present moment, and we are intrinsically connected with the present moment. The truth is, we are the present moment. There's just one eternal moment. So I always knew that all my life. And also, this physical realm isn't real as such. It's an image coming from what truly is real, which is awareness, which is oneness, true love, not ego love, not human love. Forget that. I mean, I don't mean forget that in a disrespectful way. This is something so far beyond. This isn't like, oh my God, I love him so much. And then 3 weeks later he left the toilet seat up. I'm sick of him now. No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about this utterly ineffable divine love, but only love is real. So oneness, awareness, that's what's real, not actually this physical realm is where we come to play and well, learn. It's a bit more than that. It goes deeper than learning, you know. So when you realize that this reality is an illusion, or it's more like, do you know what? The illusion is the wrong word. It's more like I always felt it was more like a dream. It's layers on layers. And even when, I'm not getting into it now, but even what people call heaven, that's also, there are further layers to that. So it's not just bang, there you go. So yeah, I won't go into it because that's a bit complex.
Yeah.
But it really takes the weight off when you realize that this reality is a dream, because then heavy emotions such as anxiety and fear, they don't seem so real. And you can exhale and begin to allow your true self to shine through. So there were other things that I knew, like about duality. You can understand why it took years for this to be clothed in words. It was just like this knowing inside of me. Like I asked my guides later on, I was like, years later, decades later, how did I know all this? Literally at such a young age. And the answer I got back was that the child that I was witness to my eternal being receiving the information. So I never forgot. So yeah, that's hopefully that answers some of your question.
Yeah, no, it does for me. And again, it's lived experience and everyone's at different levels in their own journey. And I think where a lot of people still struggle if where they are at in their journeys and they've experienced trauma or lived at the hands of, someone, whether abuse or in a society, a dictator or murderers and all this violence, that I think people often struggle with, this idea that this reality is a dream and actually we can dream a new dream. But it's like, well, how can I do this? If this was a reality and divine love was the actual truth, why are there such horrible things happening in the world? So how do you help people as well to not deny what's happened? This is not about denial, because yes, absolutely horrible things do happen in this reality. But how do you help someone as well to move from that sense of victimhood into the bigger picture as well of this divine love and kind of the innocence of everyone as well at our core?
Well, it's interesting you should use that word, because I think it's really comforting to know that no matter what you've been through, even though you might feel that somebody has taken something away from you, I would really want to comfort you by saying that there is a place within you that cannot be touched. And it is that place of innocence. It cannot be touched. So I think that's a beautifully comforting thought to have. Also, it might be an unpopular opinion, and a lot of people mightn't accept this, but what if it was true, or it is true, that you are much, much bigger than anything you've ever experienced or any problem you ever had? And what if we as souls actually choose to come down here and choose our life circumstances, the parents that we're going to have, certain points along the way, maybe who you're going to partner up with, perhaps even experiences you're going to have? And what if souls got together and discussed that before they came here, so that they could experience what it's like to go through something very tough and challenging? But this is what I mean about finding the gift in it, so that then later on they could actually step into their power and take their power back from that experience and stand in the love that they are. And I say that with utter respect because it's a very delicate subject. But what if? What if we
Yeah.
chose so much of what is going on in our lives? And because very often people look back and something that happened to them 10 years ago, say, that was extremely traumatic, and they're like, no way, they had massive resistance around it happening then. They look back from now and they realize, oh my God, I actually wouldn't have swapped that experience because I am where I am today because of it. Now, again, I have to be very cognizant of what I'm saying, because it's not like, oh, I don't want to be glib here. It's not like, oh, trauma. Oh,
Yeah.
trauma taught me so much. Well, not necessarily. I'll tell you what, you taught yourself so much
Yeah.
through the trauma. So let's not give the allegiance or the credit to trauma. I give it to you.
Yeah.
Look what you did with that trauma. You're the powerful one. You're coming out of it. So I'm in no way do I want to come across as being glib, like, oh, trauma, isn't it great? But we really
Yeah.
can extract the gift from it, and my God, step more into the fullness of who we really are. But there's a lot of choice that people don't realize. They don't realize they have choice. They think, oh, don't be ridiculous. I never chose. Well, but what if on a soul level you did?
Yeah. And again, I always say as well, that's kind of and it's part connecting to ourselves again and wanting more and, believing that there is more and none of this was in vain. And as you said, the power is us. We are the power. We are the medicine. We hold it all. But again, I know for me, I didn't realize there was all these choices. I didn't realize there was another way. I didn't realize that, like you say, all these different events could be like manure. But it took for me to go within me to come out as well the other side and to find those gifts. And I think any single person, and I've had many people across all aspects of life and traumas and different things be guests on the podcast as well. And every single one of them who has gone within and delved within and done the work on themselves would say that they wouldn't change any of it. But it's very difficult to have that comprehension and understanding without doing the work and experiencing the inner changes for yourself. I love that. And we got cut off there for a couple of minutes. So we're not sure what exactly we lost in the conversation. But I love what you were talking about as well, about, finding the gifts in the trauma. And again, I often talk about as well, that's our work, that's our piece to find and believe that there's something more than us, than the circumstances or the sum total of what has happened to us in our lives. But that takes us, nobody else can do that part for us. But like you said as well, when we do choose to go on that path and to face what's hidden or frozen within us. And I know for me, it seemed like the scariest thing in the world, because I thought, oh my God, if I open myself up to feel or go there, like I'm going to drown or something horrible is going to happen, or I'm never going to come out. I'm definitely not going to survive. So the way is keep it all in and keep it all hidden. Whereas no, that's never the answer, and it's never going to work long term. But again, it's that piece of us finding something within ourselves that is much greater and connecting back to it so we can then find the gifts. And I know there was a Mayan practice that I had a Mayan spiritual leader join me for a couple of episodes, and she had shared how the Mayans have this practice as well where they take some time. It's done at a particular time of year. I can't remember when, but it's not done all in one go as well, depending on a person's age. But like you're talking about as well, they write out every single year of their life, every single thing they can remember, every trauma, every happiness, everything that ever happened, every single year of their life up until their present age. And then when they've all that written out, and again, it's not in one sitting, but again, they ask the question, why did I choose all of this? And again, when we write it all out and see it from another perspective, we can, like you said, it is manure, but it's not something that's just going to magically land on our lap. That's our piece as well to work on, as and that ties in as well to what you're saying, as we are the power. You are the power. You are the medicine. You are everything that you'll ever need. But it takes us also to step into that power and to use our choices and to come back to that consciousness that there is another way. I actually don't have to feel like shit and live this way and feel like a victim and like things have been taken from me, my whole life. It's like, no,
Stuff, yeah.
that's true. These may have happened, but still there's so much more to me. And that's the magic. And that's the work as well, quote unquote.
Yeah. Well,
So
can I
yeah.
just say something, Karen? What's popping up there as you're speaking? Absolutely. Absolutely so important. That's why I shared the practice in the book. But you know where I ended up, if this is, comfort for anyone? What you're saying is you felt like you'd drown. Yeah, I remember that feeling years ago when I didn't want to look at it. I think that the kind of most common feeling is, God, I'm going to fall into the abyss. It's terrifying. It's terrifying. And so if I can offer you comfort, I was given this practice that I share in the book. Now, like I still use it. I use it, oh God, at least a couple of times a week. And when you get used to it, it's say 2 minutes now, literally, sometimes it'd just be 10 seconds for me, 20 seconds. But now I'm at the stage where I'm like, oh, what's coming? Oh, I can feel something. And I'm literally excited like I've found treasure. If you can like believe that, I'm at the stage now where I've let go of all of that resistance, the fear, the oh my God, because I've had it both with myself and the women I work with, time and time and time again. You're held. You're holding yourself and you're held by divine love. And you realize the gifts that come out of you feel so light and expansive afterwards. And you realize, geez, we're only talking about 90 seconds here, tops, of some kind of release. Not long. Sometimes it's just 10 seconds. It's so worth it, even though it can feel, a bit gnarly.
Yeah.
It's really, really worth it. And because I know that, because this is such a huge part of my life and because I've gained so much, it just changes everything when you make space to feel who you truly are.
Yeah.
That's what it's like now. It's like, woohoo, something else to come up. Something else is coming up. Oh, great. Going to the Becoming Aware listening practice. Woohoo.
Yeah.
And so that the fear goes.
Yeah.
The fear goes. So don't anybody think that it's there to stay. It's not. You're bigger.
Yeah, I love that. And now my take on the abyss as well is like that. I get a bit excited because as well, it's fertile growth for a new picture, a new creation, a new seed, a new idea. Because again, it's me. I am the creator and I have a total blank canvas and I can create whatever the hell I want, consciously or unconsciously. That's the power we all have. This is the free will. That's why, everything exists as well, because when we are unconscious, we can create power and power over another and violence. Because again, it's our conditioning that's we're expressing. We haven't connected to the truth of who we are, but that just shows the power we have because we can create anything. So when I am tapped in and I am intentional and I am conscious and I am using my inner imagination and vision to see and picture what I want to outpicture in my life, again, that abyss, that new space, that new clearing is like, oh, wow, I get to go again. There's something new. And I had a really, really profound awakening a couple of years ago. I'd spoken about it before, where I was left in the abyss and I felt like I was in abyss for weeks. Like every single morning when I opened my eyes, I was like, oh no, I'm here again. I'm like, fuck, I have to do this day again. But then eventually after a couple of weeks, and it was heavy, and I could appreciate, I was like, wow, there's some reason as well I'm being shown this. And I could appreciate, I was like, wow, if someone felt like this, I can totally understand why someone would take their life, because it seems so hopeless and empty. But then just one day I got the spark and I'm like, oh no, this is the pure potentiality. And I believe the people who are in the darkest, they're actually the closest to the light, but we don't know that. Again, we're not taught this. But it's like, oh no, I have a whole blank canvas. I can create. I am a creator. What do I want to see? What do I want to plant? What do I want to grow? And it was profound, but also it was, tough for that time as well. But it's again, we have the power and we see what we want to see. So yeah, I went off on a tangent there, but
no, that's beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. And again, the what's coming up for me is that germination analogy, because the seed is in the dark.
Yeah.
The seed is in the dark before it breaks up into the light and expands. So there is a beautiful, you really can tap into, well, I suppose it's a different type of darkness. People can sometimes be a bit, oh, dark, afraid of the dark. But when you tap into a different type of darkness, there's this kind of beautiful, soft, velvety womb of creation type of darkness that is pure potential. And I think maybe that's what you were tapping into afterwards when you made that
Yeah.
shift into more of who you really are.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And just something else, a question that popped into my head that maybe I'm sure a lot of people because a lot of listeners to this show as well, maybe they're beginning to awaken. Maybe they've been on a lifelong awakening journey like some of us. Maybe they're tapping into more of the bigger picture, higher consciousness, the truth of who they are. But I know for me as well, I felt like I was in limbo for years. I knew that what I was seeing was not the truth. And I was like, oh, but I hadn't quite settled into the truth of who I was either. So I know for years I felt very in limbo. How can you help people as well to ground maybe quicker into the truth of the invisible and the unseen and the potentiality and the truth that is there, as opposed to maybe feeling in limbo for so long?
Again, the tapping into the reminder, constantly reminding until you build that muscle that this is not who I am. I am not my trauma. I am not my accomplishments. I'm not my thoughts. I am not even my body. I am the witness. I am the awareness behind that. And obviously, you can meditate. You can just close your eyes, feel into it for a couple of minutes. Also, creating something in your day, like maybe a morning routine, is a very practical way to do it. It's extremely important to give yourself the gift of having some time. So you can choose your intention for the day. For example, what you want to feel for the day. It doesn't have to be, I'm going to do this, but it's more like I'm going to feel expansive or whatever. And then the practical aspect, I'm going to, write this or whatever it is. But also grounding yourself literally on the earth. So you have this beautiful balance of being grounded in Mother Earth and connected to Source above you. And remembering to do the practice that I share in my book. It goes deeper than this, but fundamentally it's about relaxing and breathing and letting go so that you can clear a space and really welcome what's arising, welcome that energy to be released so that space can be created and you can feel more of who you are. So being very gentle and loving with that child within you, that part of you that maybe got stuck age 6 or whatever it was, that energy just being so, if you might hear critical inner voice or something, it could be kind of the voice of your parents, just being very aware every day and being, oh, there's that again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's replace that with being very gentle, like you'd talk to a child lovingly. Another child, like you wouldn't really talk to other person the way you talk to yourself a lot of the time. Somebody who hasn't done any work on themselves, they can be really, I remember that was the case with me.
Yeah.
It's, you can be really quite, strict with yourself and not nice at all. You wouldn't speak to anybody else that way. So just bring your awareness into that and release, just be very loving.
Yeah.
Listen and be present because it's so nourishing, Don't let your attention go regretting the past or worrying about the future. Draw back, just now within yourself in the present moment, because that's where the power and the magic is.
Yeah.
And that's where you get the guidance from as well. You will be led. You will be led. This is real.
Yeah.
This is real. The next best step can become apparent to you. It's so exciting.
Totally. Yeah, totally. And, I love, as you were mentioning there, just that for me, it was a real softening. I just had to learn to soften, like that real softening towards myself. Yeah. Because again, it's always us with us. And I had to soften towards myself and not be so hard and judgmental and afraid and fearful and, panicked and all these things. It's like, that gentle allowance, that gentle loving, remembering that child within again, and just as you say, speaking really kindly and noticing, it's like, I see you, I feel you, and just allowing, like you've mentioned throughout, just allowing that presence. And hey, the strangest thing as well that I learned, I'm like, oh my God, it's such a gift to feel. And as a person who was terrified
Yes.
to feel, I'm like, oh, wow, this is what we're here to do. We're here
Mm.
to feel it all. It's part of the experience. And like that, it becomes really beautiful as well. But it's constant, it's constant work and checking in with myself. It gets easier, but it's that present awareness. So what a beautiful conversation as well. And I could keep talking, Marianne, but please share if there's any final words that you're feeling that are coming up to be shared. Please do. And please also share where people can find out more on your work.
Oh, sure. Thank you, Karen. I suppose what's bubbling up is that if you're listening to this, really open up to the truth that you are not your conditioning and you are bigger than any problem or situation, any problem you could ever have, and open up to start to live from your truth, who you really are, and watch how everything can fall into place. That's the main, just juicy nugget that I want to give to your listeners. Focus on who you really are and not, even though it seems so familiar and it's so powerful. Oh, this must be who I am. You're not your trauma. You're not your thoughts. You're not your accomplishments. You're none of that. You're not your gender. You're none of that. Who you really are is bigger than any problem you could ever have. Start to open up to that because it's right here beckoning you, waiting for you to guide you, waiting for you to merge with it. And you're not even separate from it.
Yeah.
So there isn't even fundamentally any merging because you are it.
Yeah.
So if your listener wants to connect with me, I'd absolutely love that. They can go to my website, which is letgoandknow.com, letgoandknow.com, and sign up for a free gift there. If you have any questions, you can email me at info@letgoandknow.com, and I would love to connect with them.
Amazing. Thank you so, so much. And what an empowering final message as well. And as always, I will have all links as well to your work and your website and your email and all that on the show notes as well from my website. So Marianne, thank you so, so much for joining and sharing today. It was a pleasure, and keep doing you.
Thank you, Karen. I really appreciate it. And big love to everybody listening as well. Thank you.